Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and it's Hump Day. And with me, as always, is my talented and beautiful co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus, and welcome to all listeners to Hump Day, where it's almost, sorta, kinda close to just about nearly the weekend.
Wow. That was good. What? How'd you... One take.
Thank you.
Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for thought.
Well, let's get into the stories while enjoying my morning kippe brew.
What are you enjoying on this Hump Day?
A spicy something or other.
Orange spice tea.
Orange spice tea. One take, baby.
Well, let's go ahead and get started into some of these stories, shall we? For any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story, am I the a-hole for not supporting girlfriend's sister? This is a throwaway because people who know me know my account. Some info. I have been with my girlfriend, 27 female, for 5 years. She loves her sister a ton, which is a good thing as I believe supporting and helping your siblings as long as it doesn't ruin your own life. You will understand why I say this later on. We just put down a mortgage on a house in the suburbs of a large city. I, 28 male, work in tech as a software developer with a master's degree in computer science. I make quite a lot of money, so money issues never arose. Girlfriend doesn't work and does chores/cooking in the house. Both agreed on this. I was gonna propose to girlfriend next year, but a problem arose about 2 years ago. For the last 2 years, probably longer, girlfriend has been sending money to her younger sister. Let's call her Emily. Emily got pregnant at 20 years old. Emily works as a waitress. The father is bouncing from job to job. Emily says that he is very lazy. He will disappear hours at a time without telling Emily where he's going or what he's doing. Emily has asked my girlfriend on several occasions for money. My girlfriend, being the nice and sweet person she is, says yes all the time. It started off as paying for diapers. No problem. Then baby clothes, which also no problem. Then daycare, which I just brushed off. I talked with girlfriend saying she can't always pay for everything and that helping out for a couple things is okay, but not everything. Girlfriend reassured me and said it would be stopping soon once they get their feet picked up, which is fine. One day, I hire a financial planner. The next day, I get an email saying my account has sent approximately 50,000 United States dollars for the last 10 months and have around $20,000 sitting in my account. I talk with my girlfriend and she apologizes and says she knew I wouldn't want to keep sending her sister money and how she just cares about her sister. We've been paying for everything: insurance, rent, car payment, daycare, clothing for all three, dinners, dates, going out expenses. It is partly my fault because I never check my bank account. Girlfriend shows me text messages between her and Emily saying she needs the money. I then notice a pattern where Emily would say, "Hey, can you send me $? I don't have the money for blank." And of course, girlfriend says yes. I brush it off and girlfriend says she won't send any more. The next day, girlfriend sends her $1,000 because they needed car repairs. I talk with girlfriend and we get into an argument where she says she will always help her sister no matter what. I understand to an extent. We argue trying to understand each other's point of view. As stated before, we had $20,000 and now we're down to $19,000. And then how about the next time? And the next time after that, on top of our own expenses. Girlfriend then decided that she needs some time alone and that she will be at her mother's for the time being. Now I'm all alone in the house I thought I would live with the girl of my dreams. Am I the a-hole for arguing with my girlfriend for caring about her sister too much?
All right, well, good one to start off Hump Day with. I do not believe that the OP is the a-hole. Helping out family members is a good thing. I think most people can agree with that. And I can agree with the OP with how he starts this off. Help them to an extent, I believe is what he said.
Correct.
Yes, okay. Every once in a while when someone does need help, I can understand the diapers and some things that they need along the way. Because what that sounded like to me at the beginning was, we're talking about maybe a couple $100 here or there. Maybe even a couple thousand, all right? Give or take. But to find out the actual number on that bad boy after he gets a financial advisor in it, I'm shocked for him. If she wants to finance her sister and her sister's husband and their kid, then she can go do that with the money that she goes and works for. That's how I feel about that. If she really feels that way, then you can have that life. You can support your sister and her husband. But that shouldn't be up to the OP in this situation to have to, was it $50,000?
$50,000.
In 10 months. They dropped $50K on
Well,
able-bodied
technically
adults.
now 51.
Yeah, sorry, 51 in 10 months on able-bodied adults. Okay, I understand helping someone out, but that's subsidizing an entire existence. Especially when we find out later it's for other things outside of helping with the baby.
Dates?
Dates? You're
Really?
paying for your little sister and her husband to go on dates?
Dinners.
Are you out of your mind?
Clothing for the three of them.
What? So yeah, OP, you're not the a-hole. I'm so sorry that you're in that house alone, that you thought you were building a future with your dream girl, but it sounds like her priorities are kind of messed up.
I think for me, I'm more shocked that she would make a promise and then literally it's not even a day
that's
later
true.
and break
That's
it.
very true. I didn't even think about that.
The betrayal of doing it behind his back, but then saying something and then betraying that trust
Immediately
again.
afterwards, yeah, there's some red flags. I don't know if she is your dream girl or you latched onto the first person you fell in love with, but hopefully this is giving you some food for thought, and maybe you don't need that person in your life because it sounds like she's ready to lie to you at a drop of a hat.
Well, let me go ahead and provide you with what Reddit says as a consensus. So Reddit says that he's not the a-hole, and our poster actually provided some edits for a little bit more clarification. For our first edit, they say, "Thank you everyone for the support. I never thought that my situation would blow up to thousands of people. I'll try to answer some questions at best. I make around $150,000 a year as a lead software developer. As someone who has no kids, dogs, or any major responsibility besides myself and a girlfriend, I never checked my account. She comes from a cultural family where family is everything and money is just paper. She texted me earlier saying how it should always be family first and that money didn't mean anything without family, and how we should help close family like siblings in their time of need. At this point, I told her I needed time to myself and told her not to come back until I'm ready to talk. I apologize if my sentences aren't making any sense, as Whiskey is my only friend right now. I also forgot to mention we started dating before all this money came into play, so I trusted her." For our next edit, they say, "I'm more sad about the betrayal than the money. Money will come back, but time will never come back. 5 whole years, my proposal plan, my life plan, my future kids I dreamt about with her just gone. All the things we've had said to each other, all the late night wine drunk times we spent, all the dates, all the flowers I gave her. I really tried with all my power to be the best man she can have. I would have trusted her with my life. And what do I get back? $50,000 gone."
$51,000 gone.
Now for our final update.
Oh.
She is now my ex. We met at a local coffee shop and I told her that things wouldn't work out for us and she went absolutely ballistic. She caused a scene begging me to not end it. It did hurt me to see her like this, but after a couple weeks to give it some thought, I would not want a wife who is a liar and one who I couldn't trust financially. I left a $100 bill on the table and left. But she followed me down to my car. She begged and told me she wouldn't send any more money to her sister and how she would do anything for us to be together. It was hard, but I stayed strong. She picked up her belongings the other day, and I almost had to call the cops because she wouldn't leave. She first tried everything from sexual favors, begging, crying. Then it turned to screaming that I ruined her life, to even saying without her, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now because of her support. I stayed strong, and when she left, I just broke down sobbing. For those wondering, I'm not going to press charges because all I want is for her to leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with her. I don't ever want to see her face again. The money will come back as it's just me, a house, and 2 paid-off cars. It does get lonely, so I'm thinking of getting a puppy, a Doberman for those wondering. Thank you everyone for all the suggestions, and a lot of you really had me thinking about my decisions, and I definitely learned a lot of valuable lessons. Goodbye and thank you."
Wow.
It's one of those things where real life really kind of just hits you. At least we know that the advice that Redditors provide from their different perspectives are being heard by posters.
Sure. I mean, why else post, right?
I wish him luck on the little Doberman.
Yeah, you'll find someone down the road, hopefully.
Well, let us go ahead and shift away from this story and see this family drama that I'm about to enter us into. For our next story, am I the a-hole for exposing my future brother-in-law's shady past to my family?
Get me on the ride.
I'm 37 female, and I come from a close-knit family. I have 2 younger siblings, 28 male and 27 female, and my sister recently got engaged to future brother-in-law, 23 male, after dating him for around a year. We all know him well, and I have always got along with him. He comes from a rough background, but he has always been very polite and charming. He doesn't talk about his own family or about his upbringing. My sister said it's a painful topic for him, so no one ever pushed. There was recently a family event which future brother-in-law attended. He was quiet during the day. He is normally high energy and sociable, then disappeared for a while. When I went outside for some fresh air, I bumped into him. He was emotional and said it was a hard day for him due to negative associations. He ended up offloading some quite shocking things from his past, including that he has a history of very serious drug use, including needles, and that he has done sex work and porn, men and women. I felt for him at the time because he was so upset, literally crying on my shoulder, but afterwards I felt more and more uncomfortable. I still feel bad for him since he clearly regrets it, but it's very shocking to find out he has that kind of history, and it does make me feel differently about him. Obviously, I told my husband what future brother-in-law told me because I didn't feel comfortable keeping it to myself. I also told my sister because I didn't know how honest he had been with her, and it could impact on her decision to marry him. She was angry and said she was fully aware, and it doesn't make her think less of him. I know others might disagree, but I decided if my sister and future brother-in-law weren't going to bring it up, then it was my responsibility to make sure my family had the information they needed to make an informed choice about what kind of relationship they have with him. My parents agreed that it was the right thing to do and were grateful. My brother said he could see my point, but didn't think it was my responsibility to share that information. My brother's wife thought I was out of line. When my sister found out I told our family about future brother-in-law's sketchy past, she was very angry. She is now refusing to speak to me altogether because apparently this has affected future brother-in-law quite badly. They are no longer engaged because he thinks he's not good enough for her, and no one in my family has seen him since all of this happened. Obviously, that wasn't my intention, and no one said he isn't good enough. I think it's naive to pretend that you see someone exactly the same way after finding out they're an addict. Whether you like it or not, there are risks that come with that lifestyle, and relapses are common. I'm concerned that my sister will get hurt, and I don't think it's unreasonable for my family to have access to the same information I do, especially when they're inviting him to their homes and there are children around, etc. Am I the a-hole for informing my family about future brother-in-law's background?
This is the spicy meatball of this episode. Wow. All right, so OP, you are definitely the a-hole in this situation, and I'll justify it like this in my viewpoint. So your sister's ex-fiance now at this point, thanks to you and your actions, came to you at a moment where he was feeling very vulnerable, and obviously he trusted you enough to give you the information that he did. Unfortunately, he trusted the wrong person. Had he wanted to share this information with the entire family the way you did, he would have done so. So you take the information that he gives you, that he trusted you with, and then you go to your sister as if those two that were in love because they were going to get married, and you assumed that she didn't know anything about his past. And you wanted to white knight the situation up because that's just how you wanted to feel, that she should know. Well, she knew what her fiance's past entailed, yet she still chose to love him. All of us are flawed. Everyone messes up. To a certain degree, yes, there are things worse than others. Yes, I can agree with that point. And I also understand her point of relapses and things like that. But I don't think that's where you came from with this. I think you wanted everyone to judge him. I think you already had your preconceived opinion about him. And the second you got information that you thought could destroy that relationship and make everyone else feel a certain way about him, I think you used it. I don't trust any word that you have to say in this post. I think you're a gross human. When someone trusts you with that type of information, especially when no one knows anything about him, to your words, you used it and you weaponized it. you're the type of person I think most people try to avoid. You're a snake. You try to be their friend and you use things like that. And look what you've done. Your sister knew who she was getting involved with because she chose to love him after she knew all these things about him. As I've said, I think everyone is flawed and we all make mistakes. But to have gone to the extent that you did to not only go to the sister, and after she told you she knew already, that should have been the end of your crusade to ruin their relationship, because that's what you turned it into. But then you turned around and went to all of your family members, deeming it a right for them to know all of his personal information. I think you're a terrible person. Hopefully you got some perspective from the Reddit comments, if they are the way I think they should be. But yeah, nothing can redeem you in my eyes. I think you're actually worse than the person you tried to ruin, in my opinion. You're a snake.
So that was very intense.
Sorry.
But you have summed up exactly how all of Reddit has posted about this. And the consensus is she's a resounding, she is the a-hole. So a lot of Redditors posted their comments on this, and there's a lot of them that was awarded. I definitely suggest our listeners to go and read some of these because it was justified to actually get it out there. The first one that I'd like to read, it's a very short one, but it's kind of sweet and to the point. And it says, be sure to tell everyone you meet in the future what you did here so they can make an informed decision about you. You're the a-hole.
Yep.
There's others who say, this person is 23. Future brother-in-law, now probably future ex-brother-in-law, 23-year-old male. And if he's experienced this, there is no 18-year-old that aspires to do this. And a lot of people have taken that. One, he probably would have received some form of sexual abuse as a child, that this victim possibly had one of those experiences, and unfortunately it shaped their lives to the point where they had formed some sort of substance addiction, and they probably got kicked out, and it forced them into such a field because, you know, as a youth, you experience that and then you unknowingly gravitate to it, and it's such a sad revolving spiral of just destruction that happens to one person because of another person's predatorial instinct to try and ruin others. And this poster is the same person. Of course, she didn't sexually abuse, but what she did was she took something and she spun it to make it the worst, most impactful thing. And as I said, there's so many people. I wish I could read all their comments. It would take me a while. But all of their points are valid in all this, and I hope that I've summed them up to some form of justice here.
It's a very sad story. I feel for the young man, and it sucks because he found someone that loved him even after, because there are a lot of people like that OP that will hear someone's past and write them off. He's 23. He's trying to move forward with his life. We all make mistakes. He found someone that didn't write him off, and they were in love, and they were going to get married, and it got all taken away because of that.
His love for the sister, he thinks he's not good enough.
That's the worst part. I think all people can identify with not feeling good enough. And that's where I'm like, ooh, this OP is, she's the worst type of person.
Well, let us go on to another story. Although this one, while it doesn't involve a family drama, is a little different. For our next story, am I the a-hole for telling my coworker she doesn't need to be adopted? So my coworker, 26 female, lost her adoptive dad 6 years ago and lived with her adopted mom. Let's call my coworker Pam, not her real name. Pam has been working with me for a few months now, and it's really clear that she doesn't know how to think on her own. Her mom still packs her lunch, and she drives her to work when it rains. Now, Pam does not have any sort of disability or delays. She is very much able to do everything on her own, but has been coddled her whole life. Now, her mother has gotten a job offer in another country. Pam has made it clear she doesn't want to move and will be staying here if one of her older siblings adopt her. She has 3 older siblings, 45, 42, and 37. Pam is the youngest and was adopted from another country at the age of 3. I told her that it's so sweet that she will be living with a sibling, but I asked her what she meant by adopting her since she's 26 and the legal age is 21. She says that she needs to be adopted to stay because who's going to take care of her since her mom is leaving? I asked her to explain. This woman doesn't pay any bills. She has no idea how to cook for herself or live on her own. I asked her if there's a reason why she can't live on her own. She told me that it was too hard and it's better if someone just takes responsibility for her. I told her that the only way they can adopt her is if she releases her rights to her siblings, and the court would have to determine if she is incapable to be on her own. She told me, "That's fine. I don't want to be responsible to be on my own." I asked why she has a job then, and she basically told me she works to fund her shopping style. She has the latest phone, gets the newest purses, always comes to work with a $7 coffee, and has really nice clothes. I asked why she doesn't just budget her money better so she can live on her own. She looked at me like I was crazy. I flat out told her that her siblings would not be smart for adopting her because there's no reason to be adopted. This made her mad, and she reported me to HR. I now have to write an apology memo and submit it to her by Tuesday. Now I'm thinking I should have stayed out of it, but this girl has no idea how the world works. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Pam started the conversation, and we always have these kinds of talks, and even if we disagree, we move on. She is one to talk about everything at work. She does more talking than work. This is just the first time HR got involved. Am I the a-hole?
So I guess I'll start with this. They sound youngish. I mean, 26 is pretty old to still be living with your parents, but every situation's different. I can understand that. There's economics involved with it too. It's not just someone's mental state. So we'll start with this. OP, you're right though. You do tell yourself you probably should have stayed out of it. You should have stayed out of it. That's not your life. She's a coworker, not a family member. You're going to learn. If this was your first experience with that, you're going to learn. When you're at work, you talk work. You don't get into other people's personal lives. And that's a lesson you're going to have to learn through an apology letter that HR is forcing you to write. Keep it professional. Stay on brand. Learn these things because it will help you later on as you climb whatever ladder you're in, whatever corporation you work for or job you're in. Keep it professional. That's lesson one. It's a weird situation you're explaining to us. Obviously, she's 26. She wants an older sibling to adopt her so that way she doesn't have to pay for things. But that's
Take
not
responsibility.
That's not how any of that works. So I'm sorry that she's under the guise. It really does sound like the 26-year-old's parent really did her an injustice because it does sound like they didn't raise an adult. They raised a child.
They raised a perpetual teenager, I guess, is the better way. Because she still wants stuff.
Yeah, but she doesn't understand. I think she does understand. She
understands.
Just doesn't want
she doesn't
to
want
do
it.
it.
It's like, I guess here's a funny parallel. Remember from The Office when Michael Scott says, "I declare bankruptcy," and cuts his card? This feels like the same thing to me, where she goes, "I don't want to be an adult. I want to be adopted."
I think if we're going to go by the logical letter of the law, you're the a-hole for even having this conversation at work. And you're going to learn to not have opinions on people's personal lives and not have those conversations at work. That's how I feel.
Well, and all of Reddit does agree. She is the a-hole exactly for that reason. That, yes, it might have been Pam that initiated the conversation and initiates these conversations in general. However, you shouldn't be lulled into thinking that it's okay to talk about it. This is the workplace, and that is not professional talk.
You will learn.
So the fact that you got in trouble for it, you should just be glad you're not losing your job for it.
Yep.
Because had it been escalated enough, who knows what could have happened? An apology letter might not have been the only thing you're walking away from.
Chant it in your head. Stay on brand. Keep your job. That's how it works.
It is a good mantra. Well, let's go ahead and walk away from HR and see what's going on in this dinner for our next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for dinner? Typing this out sounds insane, and I really don't think I'm in the wrong, but I need to know. A friend invited me to a dinner party at her house a few weeks ago. The actual dinner party was last night. I asked if I should bring anything, but she said no, it's not a potluck. She'll be making dinner for everyone. There were 7 of us total, and the food was good. During the meal, we were all laughing and called our friend, the dinner host, a chef, because she made a big dinner for all of us, and we all said how much we appreciated it because it's hard to get everyone together at the same time. At the end of dinner, we all help clean, wash the dishes, then have some wine. It started getting late, so people started to head out, and on our way out, the dinner host said, "Don't forget to Venmo/Cash App/sell her." Some of us were confused because we had no idea what we had to send her, so I asked her, "What am I sending you money for?" And she said, "For cooking dinner." Here comes the dialogue. Me: "I don't understand why we should pay." Her: "Because I spent my money and hosted the dinner and cooked." Me: "None of us asked you to. You volunteered to do it, and you never mentioned pain until now." Her, I didn't do this for free. Me, you should have told us before you hosted that you expected this. I don't think it's fair to just bring this up and expect people to pay. End of dialogue. She called me an a-hole and said again that she didn't spend hours to cook, grocery shop for free. I have never heard of this, like ever. We kept arguing, and after a while, I just Venmo'd her the $40 she asked for. I don't think I'm the a-hole at all, and some of my friends agree with me. Some have said it's normal to pay for dinner during a dinner party at someone's house, so now I'm not sure. Edit. A lot of you have asked what she made, and it was some salad I've never heard of. The main course was smoked Gouda mashed potatoes with beef short ribs, a dessert I forgot the name of. I think she said she bought this from a bakery. She also made vegan mashed potatoes and vegan ribs for one of our friends who is vegan. She also made / bought chicken skewers as the appetizer. Even though she said not to bring anything, I brought rum cake from my local bakery. And yes, everyone brought something small. We also had charcuterie and cheese board that 2 of the girls brought. Some girls brought wine, and we even had one girl bring candles to set the mood. We are in the US, and none of us are European. I spoke with some of the others, and although they had paid for a dinner party before, it was discussed first. No one has ever done what this friend did, which was spring an unexpected cost on us. All of us are in our early 30s. The group chat is going crazy right now because everyone is pissed at her. Am I the a-hole?
All right, so you're definitely not the a-hole because the start of this already explains everything. She invited you. End of story. No, but seriously, you're not the a-hole because there was no talking about like the money at the start. You even asked, should I be paying for something? Should I bring something? And she says, no, I believe anyway, right?
She didn't say anything about the paying. Our poster asked, should I bring something? And while
Well, it sounds like everyone brought a little something. So
while the host technically said, no, don't bring anything, everybody still brought something just to be nice, to make it a good time.
Yeah, it's what you're supposed to do. It's not all on the hostess in this situation. She's in her 30s, early 30s is what they said.
Correct.
There's
all of
no
them.
excuse to be ignorant to not knowing expectations at that point in life. It sounds like she put together a good dinner. I mean, for all accounts, right? She even made a vegan thing for a friend, right? So there are all alternatives at this party, but I'm willing to bet that you said there were 7, 8 people at this party?
7 total.
Times $40? I'm willing to bet she didn't spend that much putting together that dinner.
Yeah, that actually is very
I'm gonna be
expensive.
a little honest on the math.
That would make this dinner to be $280
So I'm willing to
for
bet.
those 3 things. That doesn't even include all the things that all the guests brought.
So I don't know. See, that's the math. Make it make sense, and it's not. So even if she was making because it's a small profit, we're also talking about yes, she goes to the store, she prepares the meal, all that stuff. All right, fine, regardless of the pricing.
But then you might as well go to a restaurant at that point.
You're the hostess. That's part of the game. You want to host, you want people to come to your place. You have to do some of the legwork, right? But you don't then go, by the way, this was not free.
While people are walking out.
You're paying for my service to cook for you. Who does that to their guests? Because they're never going to be your guests again. That $40 came with a goodbye note. You know what I mean? Like you ruin friendships because it sounded like you have a pretty dope group of friends. You're going to their party, you're eating, they put candles for the ambience. Like it's a full on, like, I get it, but you're not going to have that again. Like, well, you're your friend anyway, the host. I would have loved to have been there during that dialogue because it sounded spicy. I don't know you. What? You're paying for what I did for you. Like, could you imagine being
I didn't
there?
do this for free.
I love that. Yeah, I don't think you're the a-hole in this situation, OP. I guess you guys are going to be finding a new friend to host your dinner parties.
Well, let me go ahead and just continue on with what our poster said. Some of us confronted our friend last night about this, and things went all the way left. I'll post an update later when I can collect my thoughts. That update is now live.
All the way left.
I didn't realize my update was taken down. Here is the update everyone has been asking for. Basically, the next day we tried to explain our side of things to my friend. She was sticking with her side that the cost was fair. We tried to explain how rude it was for her to basically charge us for hanging out with her. We explained how she never does anything for any of us without expecting something from us. She said she would expect her friends to help her if she helps them. We said yes, but you won't do anything for anyone unless there is something in it for you. Some of you mentioned to ask for the receipt. I did, and she didn't have it. I brought up the different things we brought, and get this, she said, I didn't ask for you to bring them. I then brought up this post and basically said what she did was tacky and just rude as hell. Big mistake. She was very upset about it, saying it's an invasion of privacy. Understandable. She called us rude bitches. LOL, us and bad friends. We just kept going back and forth saying the same thing, and it wasn't going anywhere. One of our friends asked if she would apologize, and she said no. She didn't do anything wrong. In the end, all of us cut her off. We left her in the group chat for a little bit before we blocked her though, so she could see what we were saying about her.
Yeah, it sounds like you're gonna have a new person to host your dinner parties. That's cool. I mean, that's the end of it. She didn't do things for others unless she was benefiting from them, and you never want people like that around you. And if you can identify that person, you're better off staying away from them. It's not pleasant to be around them, and to go to the extent that she was defending herself, well, I didn't ask you to bring that. That's because you don't have to ask friends to do things.
Just to be nice.
Like, that's courtesy. Like, of course I want to bring a little something to make it better. Like, what?
But at the same time, you have to set healthy expectations on what you want from your guests. Let's go ahead and deviate away from this dinner, and let's see what's happening with this family. For our next story, am I the a-hole for telling my mom the exact moment I lost all love and respect for her?
Get me on the ride.
I, 21 male, live with my older sister, 23, and my two younger sisters, 17 and 15. My older sister currently has legal custody over our two younger sisters, and at one point even had legal custody over me when I was still a minor. She basically gained custody of us all when she was 19 because our mom was an addict. My mom is currently going through end-stage renal kidney failure, assumingly because all of those years of not taking care of herself caught up to her. When she first started going to dialysis about 5 months ago, she put me down as her emergency contact. And at first, I just sucked it up and dealt with it because she doesn't have anyone else in this part of the country, and my older sister doesn't talk to her for reasons you can imagine. However, yesterday when the clinic contacted me and I had to pick her up, I informed her that she needed to put someone else down because I wouldn't be answering those calls anymore after she had her family members leave threatening messages to my older sister. This pissed her off, and she started going on about why I didn't love her anymore and when I stopped loving her. So I told her the exact moment I stopped loving her and respecting her was when I was 13. I had just entered high school. I was big into football, and the coach at that time was brutal. He was making us practice 2 times a day at 5 a.m. and after school. I told her how I woke up one morning and she was passed out on the couch off of whatever substance she was using at the time, and my older sister, only 15 at the time, was freaking out because we had no food. We never had any food. She was freaking out, thinking I was going to pass out from all that practice and barely eating. I tried to assure her that I would be fine, but she went into that kitchen, grabbed the only things we had, which were 2-day-old, almost burnt rice, salt, a can of green beans, and half a chicken breast, and made me and our siblings an entire fried rice meal. She made sure I ate that morning, and I ate that meal on my way to practice crying. She had to stay home from school that day like she did most days to send our sisters off to school and to be there to pick them up. When I got home from that day, my sister was in the kitchen cooking dinner, and there were some groceries in the fridge that she had bought with the money that she got from selling her rings that our grandma gave her to some sketchy-ass guy that used to hang out at the convenience store, all while she remained high and passed out. I told her that's when all love and respect for her vanished. She cried and told me that I was evil, having a moral conflict because I'm wondering if I should have been softer with her. Am I the a-hole? Info. My dad passed away of an OD when I was 8, so he was really no better than my mom. Now, just to provide you with a little bit more context, the OP told commenters about the threatening messages and how bad they were. OP says they were pretty bad enough for my sister to go to the police station, and they suggested that she go down to the court and get a restraining order on them all so that way something could be done on the officer's end if they were to contact her again.
All right. Well, this one's a sad story because obviously you were dealing with addiction, and it's always rough on not just the person but everyone that they affect. Unfortunately, it sounds like even with kids, the mother, and unfortunately we heard that the father passed, they were not able to kick their addiction and do it for the kids. Because a lot of people, when they get into their vices, sometimes they're able to pull and get out of it because of reasons. In this case, it would have been they had 4 kids. You've got to, at some point, fight the beast. And I know it's hard. We're talking about addiction. It's not easy. Not everyone can get through it. That's why I do look at these and try to be as understanding as I can. But there's an extent to the understanding. You've had 4 kids. You're doing this now. They're all teenagers growing up. You should have, there's enough time there and enough reason to battle it. You didn't. You got to the point where your eldest daughter had to become the adult at 15 to try to make sure that everyone was eating. That's ridiculous. The mother in this situation deserves everything that she asked. She asked, when did you stop loving me? And it's funny because the OP in the situation gives her the exact day and situation. That's one of those cornerstones that you'll always remember for the rest of your life. She asked the question, she got the answer. Kudos to your sister. Hopefully you guys keep that bond and hold on to it, because it's probably one of the most truest things you're going to have. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole. I'm shocked about the family coming in death-threatening or whatever threats to
apparently
the
it was bad
sister.
enough for her to get a restraining order.
It sounds like they're all happy peas in a pod. Leave them alone. Cut them off. Just stay strong in what you guys are making and developing now. Your sister sounds like a gem. So yeah, just protect each other, especially from, it sounds like, your mother's side of the family. They don't sound like good people anyway.
Well, all of Reddit also says that our poster is not the a-hole. And let me go ahead and just read to you from one of the commenters their perspective. I am a recovering addict, OP. Part of my recovery process is taking responsibility for the pain I inflicted on the people I hurt. It doesn't sound like your mom has done that at all. I would suggest letting her know that she can either deal with her flying monkeys, the ones harassing and threatening your sister, and take responsibility for the pain and destruction she caused, or accept that this moment will be the very last time she ever sees your face. I have an almost 13-year-old daughter who is just now starting to remember the destruction I was leaving in my wake when she was little, and I have had to sit there and take everything she said to me and let her be mad, yell, cuss, scream, and shake, and then tell her that I'm sorry I put her through what I did and promise to never do it again. And I haven't done it again since I got clean, because I don't want to be on my deathbed with my adult children refusing to visit me because I destroyed their life. You deserve to be free of the pain she caused, and because you won't hear it from her, let me tell you that you're loved, and you never deserved what she put you and your sisters through. Signed, an addict mom. Other commenters actually provided a book, and I'm going to share it with listeners just in case anybody ever needs this. But the book is called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Apparently, this was provided to one Redditor through another post, and it helped them, so they're providing it to our poster. And hopefully through this channel, we can go ahead and provide it to you if you should ever need it, listeners.
That was a very sweet comment.
Well, we got a little too serious there, didn't we? So let's go ahead and bring this to a party for our last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my friend's party after they expected their guests to pay for drinks? This past weekend, my wife, 41 female, I, 42 male, attended one of my friend's parties that I was invited to. For context, my friend, 42 male, and his girlfriend, 42 female, and their 2 friends, also mid-40s, male and female, were hosting this party, the 4 of them together. A few weeks ago, when I received the invitation, I realized that it said on it something along the lines of, "Please be prepared to purchase your own drinks." I didn't think much of it at the time, considering I just thought they were hiring a bartender or something. But fast forward to the day of the party. I arrive with my wife, and it's my friend and his girlfriend standing behind their kitchen counter that they were using as their quote-unquote bar, making/charging the guests for drinks. Now, I was confused for a few reasons. 1, the fact that this party was held at my friend's house. It's not like this was an event space or something where this would be normal, in my opinion. 2, there was no bartender that they hired or anything like that. It was literally 2 of the 4 of them standing in the kitchen at a time making drinks for people and then charging them accordingly. Drinks were all under $10. Now, I don't know if this is actually a common thing, but I have never in my 42 years of living been to a party at a friend's house where the hosts are charging you themselves for drinks. I've had multiple parties over the years that I've invited my friend and his girlfriend to in which they have attended, and I've never charged anyone for drinks ever. I've always bought all the drinks myself and had an open bar type of situation where my guests can make their own drinks. I even had a proper bartender once and still no one was charged. It was an open bar. I honestly felt like my friend, his girlfriend, and their friends were all trying to make a quick buck off of their guests who attended, clearly to cover the cost of the drinks, which yeah, I understand that booze isn't cheap these days, but we're talking splitting the cost of whatever they bought between 4 people. Like, in my opinion, if you can't afford to supply drinks at your party, why are you having a party in the first place? This wasn't for charity or anything. The money made off of the drinks was for them to split. My wife and I bought 1 drink each, stayed for about an hour or so, and said our goodbyes. When we were leaving, my friend asked why we didn't have that much to drink. I told him because I think it's ridiculous that they were charging their close friends for drinks. He called me cheap. And an unsupportive friend, I assured him that I'm not. If the charging of drinks was for a good cause, like profits go to charity or something, of course I'd buy drinks. I told him I find the fact that they are charging for drinks and keeping the money for themselves ridiculous and taking advantage of their friends. Anyway, now my friend and his girlfriend are butthurt about this and have been calling me an a-hole to our mutual friends. Am I the a-hole here?
All right. Well, I guess we're getting back into this charging friends stuff again.
Kind of figured we had a dinner before. Now we're just going to enjoy a party.
Yeah. What? Is like my first reaction to this. So they go to a party hosted by 4 people. And these 4 people do say on the thing, be prepared to buy drinks on the invitation.
Correct.
Okay. So that's at least there. There's an understanding that that is happening at this party. Fair. But I want another receipt. That's kind of where I'm at with that, because like the reason why bars and establishments charge that type of money is because you're doing these things at the place, at a venue, right? You're not just charging for the drink itself, you're charging for the place you're in.
Well, and you can get a bartender. Sure. Apparently our poster has done this before, where he purchased all the alcohol and the bartender so that people can enjoy it.
I guess my thing would be, because he says everything's under $10. Like, I think we said it from before, it's like tacky. Like, could you imagine being at a kitchen and the hosts are sitting there going, $8 please, $7 please, for every time you want to go get a drink? Like, I've never been a part of that situation.
I think I would have understood this more if I was told, hey, can you go ahead and RSVP? And then of all the people RSVPing, just say, hey, look, to fund all of the drinks that we're having, your portion of that, if you're still wanting, is for this.
Split against, 5 or 10 people, however many people you have at this party, and then everyone can just drink and not have to worry about it. Like, the one thing I'm not doing if I am drinking at a party is worrying about money. Like, I would rather get that stuff out of the way first than be charged repeatedly every time I drink. Like, it does sound like they were trying to make a quick buck off their friends and hopefully drink more, spend more, right? Like,
correct.
Like, it's like they watched a YouTube video and they're like, bartenders make how much? Wait a second, I got a great idea.
Oh no.
Yes. Yeah, like, I think that's ridiculous. Were they expecting tips too? Like, is that a thing? Were they trying to do that whole thing to them too?
I don't think our person stayed long enough for it. Regardless, it just seems really weird.
It does. I wonder if they were in a tight pinch for money and they were trying to just host
But then
something.
At the same time, if you're going to host like that, would you not just tell the people coming that you're just trying to split the cost of the stuff that you're going to entertain with?
Sure. Like,
I think people would understand that more than watching you try and cash grab.
Yeah, you're not the a-hole, OP. I think your friends are a little weird for expecting that situation to go any other way than the way it happened, which was you walking out.
I still feel like he wasn't rude, though.
No, I don't think so.
He stayed for an hour. He purchased 1 drink. Both him and his wife purchased a drink, and then they left.
Yeah.
The fact that the hosts wondered why they left and didn't buy more drinks.
That's where I'm like, were they in a pinch? Like, what's happening? Were you expecting people to drink more than spend more? Like, was that the whole goat? Were you looking at everyone as just like money? Was like per head, you were like, as long as everyone buys like 5 drinks, that's $50 a person. We're going to make X amount of dollars.
We only spent like $20 on the stuff. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they were hurt about you leaving. I just think they hurt that they couldn't get more money out of you. Again, weird situation though. These are all people in their 40s.
40s.
Like what? What are you doing?
All
at
of
that
them
age?
in their like early to mid 40s.
What are you doing? Like,
Well, as you can tell, all of Redditors also say he's not the a-hole. That is very weird. People understand splitting costs of whatever it is that you get. So if you go to Total Wine and you enjoy some drinks there, and then you purchase, let's say, $100 worth of drinks because you're expecting to have this huge bash, and you split the costs with everybody, letting them know ahead of that makes more sense than charging them per drink.
guess you're not going to their houses anymore for parties.
Actually, let's go ahead and see what kind of update our poster gave us.
Wow.
Wow is what they say. I did not expect this post to blow up like this, but thank you guys. For any of those wondering, after reading these comments, my wife and I have decided to exclude my quote-unquote friend and his girlfriend from any of our future parties. I blocked both of my friend and his girlfriend as well.
Yeah, man. Weird situation. Good thing you'll find better friends that don't cash grab you at a weird party they're hosting in their 40s for beer money, I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
That extra side hustle.
I guess. Like I said, it sounds like they watched a video where like, want to make quick cash? Got dumb friends?
No.
Like, I don't know. Oh, that was it? Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you've seen the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We will be regularly posting on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
We look forward to hearing your opinions in the comments below. And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.